Welcome back to another episode of Aunt and Andrew, where family's everything.
Until it's not. Hi, Andrew.
Hi, Aunt.
Well, reunion part one. I think there's only two parts to this reunion. It's not a
Okay.
three-part reunion, it's two parts. And I want to tell you, I have to say, Jenna Lyons brought it with that look. It was by far the look that I don't think any housewife will ever be able to replicate on a reunion.
Oh,
It
yeah, no, no.
was just phenomenal, but
But it can't go to
she
BravoCon because she has to return it for
because
fifteen
she's going
hundred
to return
dollars.
it to Balenciaga.
At
Now,
least she
so
was honest.
do you believe for a minute that Brynn paid 7,000 cash for hers?
Yes, probably.
You do. Who do you
How'd
think
she
bought
get the
it then?
7,000
Yeah, I was
cash?
going to
I don't
say
know.
because she can't answer what she does for a living.
No, no,
She
no.
could
She said,
not.
"I do what you do." She's an influencer. That's what she meant when she said to Sai.
Oh, did she? Well, supposedly she was running an IT company and
I know, but
doing
that's like
this and
she like
that.
I think that what she's trying to say
I
is
don't
like
know.
I thought that I that didn't they didn't stay on that as much as maybe they should have because my whole philosophy was like you like Sai, why aren't you mad that she just said I do what you do? Because the
Yeah.
Sai that we met season 1 was like the cream of the crop influencer.
Yeah.
So it's like it's kind of like saying that like I don't know, like on Summer House, which you don't watch, like, but Paige is like a real influencer.
She's a real
But
influencer.
then there were other cast members that were like, I'm an influ like, because they're like, you don't have a job. Like Paige would say, you don't have a job, and they're like, oh, and then the next season they're like, I do what you do, and she's like, yeah, but like not well, but
Yeah.
that's what Sai should have
But
said. Sai
that's
should have been like,
Paige. Yeah.
if I was Sai, I would have been like,
I
yeah,
do not
maybe.
believe that Paige, that Sai is going to engage with Brynn at any level. She is so over Brynn. She
Oh yeah,
doesn't really even care what she says. Like maybe a year ago, Sai would have come at her, but just like Uber, Uber's
I
not
liked
giving
that
her.
they were able to have this phrase is overused, but it's important in this moment. They held space for Bryn's trauma without compromising the fact that she still lied and she still
About everything.
yeah. And I
As
do
far as I'm
believe I
concerned,
listen,
I'm sorry, I don't.
because Bryn's so sexual, I do believe that she was assaulted. I do.
Yeah, but you realize this assault happened like 2 or 3 years ago. We're not talking about 20.
No, no, I know this. I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
so I
and I
mean,
understand where she's coming from too. It made sense to me because I'm not a woman, obviously, but like I can imagine that if you were, especially if you knew the person and it wasn't like that you were like kidnapped and then raped, like
yeah,
you were
okay,
like
held
taken advantage
hostage.
of by
Yeah.
someone,
Okay.
that you would just want to go home and take a shower. I get that. Like and that is the truth. Like, I mean, I think that's why like it's so important that we have ways for women to just go and report. But it's also one of those things where it's like, I can't not turn and I don't know the Brynn other than the 2 seasons we've seen her on the show. I don't know how
Correct.
she was
Right.
before this incident,
Right.
right after this incident, but I can say this. I'm going to use an example. Kim Kardashian got robbed in Paris with all
Correct.
of her jewelry on and all that.
Right.
What does Kim do now? She doesn't wear that stuff.
Ever.
Because she realized that even though what they did was terrible and wrong and they should be held accountable, she didn't help them by being so flaunty with her jewels.
Correct.
And I just think that like my question is like if you know if you've been the victim of a disgusting man doing something to you, Bryn, I just
Right. Doing
wonder, I
something.
can
Yeah.
see why you would be like using emotional support as a way to gain sympathy. I could see how you would be insecure or like need attention, but to use your sexuality as that like it just I guess it's hard to understand fully that that would be that she would feel comfortable doing some of the things that we've seen her do on this show, understanding her trauma. I guess I just and I know that they said it. Sometimes you portray like you have like some people have a nervous laugh or some people like they like don't know how to act in those settings. But then when you see her react about the pain, it's so deep that it's hard for me as someone that's never been through a situation like that or known anyone really that's ever been through that situation to be like it's hard for me to imagine someone who's been sexually assaulted to be like, "Oh yeah, want to
Yeah.
sleep with me on the beach?" Like I just think I mean, again,
You might close up.
Yeah, or like
Yeah.
you might look for attention in other ways, but
Okay.
it wouldn't be to like welcome someone between your legs, pretty much. Like
Yeah.
that would
Okay.
seem
Well,
like the
here's
last
the
thing.
thing with Bryn. Do you believe, and this is the fundamental question that I'm going to ask, and I'm going to ask everybody listening, you tell me what you think. Because this to me is the dividing line of if you believe Bryn's lying 100%, has some truths mixed with falsehoods, or she is telling all lies. Okay.
Okay.
Do you believe the first time she watched that final episode was on her phone?
No way.
Exactly. Me either.
Because someone who's that
It,
insecure and that obsessed with themselves is watching trust me, I know that because I used to, the minute my episode was emailed
you
to
were
me,
watching it.
I
There's
watched
no
it.
way you went to a reunion knowing what happened in Puerto Rico without seeing it as you went in. So to me, the mere fact that she was there pretending she was watching it for the first time for for the drama of it all, showed me that everything she says is a lie. That's
I
how I
just,
felt.
yeah.
There may be sprinklings of truth here and there,
Oh,
but to
yeah.
me, the
Like,
majority of what she says is a lie. And another example, when she talks about this sexual assault, and if she was sexually assaulted, I feel
no, no,
for
no. I
her.
think we have to say, like, I don't think it's okay to say if. I think it's okay to say, like, we have to believe her that she was sexually assaulted.
Okay, all right. Also, but I'm going to say it again. Sexual assault does not mean she was raped.
No,
It
no,
could
but
mean that she was somewhere with the guy and he copped a feel and she didn't like it. Remember, it can mean that too.
all I'm saying is that she could be lying. But you
Mhm.
know what? The trend in this country is to believe liars that lie about that stuff.
Okay, so say she was
So
sexually assaulted. I question it only because she said she went home and took a shower, and then she was like, "Oh, but I wanted to like bleach my body in a bath." Well, no, you didn't. You just took a shower. Like in and of that, she was contradicting herself. Like she was making this up, like trying to get their sympathy. To me, she's a classic narcissist that throws stuff out, doesn't know where it's going to go. It's like a net. It's like a big fishing net. And they throw it out there and they start to reel it in and they start to see what's coming in. And she's looking at the other women. And basically, let's face it, she's looking at the women that she wants their sympathy of because she feels like she has Jenna Lyons wrapped in the palm of her hands.
that's the question I
Just
do
the
ask.
moment when she says, "Oh, it's on for now," her robe. You're here
Yeah.
talking about you're sexually assaulted, but then you want to take Jenna's robe off of her.
See, that's the part where like
Yes, that's where I'm saying. And let's face it, most of her conversation was directed at Raquel, who she's feels she has a sympathetic voice with. Like she's sympathetic to her, believe it or not, even though she isn't. And Erin is important to her.
yeah.
Sai, I'm not sure. Uba, she knows she's in a mess with Uba.
But Uba was so compassionate to her, like during the her talking about the sexual assault.
Because
I just this is the deal.
because
I
I
think
think that
that Bryn's
Uber
bringing
is
it up
I
because she knows she doesn't have any empathy from the audience. And I just think that like what happened here was that Brynn, I think initially when Brynn started this show, she said to herself, I'm not bringing this up on the show. And then as the show has gone through, she has said, oh shit, I'm coming off bad. I need people to feel bad for me. So I'm not saying that it didn't happen, but I do believe
yeah.
that Brynn didn't help herself because I think she fully had the intention to not bring it up on the show. But then she decided to bring it up on the show because she wasn't getting the attention she desperately needed and craved. So
Yeah.
she was like, let me bring this up. And
Mhm.
now the math isn't mathing for us as viewers because the
Yes.
Bryn we know is this
Mhm.
overly sexualized person. And then we
Yeah, it
find
was
out
the
in the
constant nymph
reunion,
mentality.
but then we find
Constant.
out in the
Yeah.
reunion that she also doesn't think, like, she's saying she can't be with a guy because all she thinks about is when she was sexually assaulted. So it's hard because I feel like I don't know Bryn now because I'm like, I thought you were very sexual and that you loved sexualizing yourself. Like, you've never
Yeah.
given us any reason to think that you do not love
Well, especially
this.
when the Russian billionaires are calling her all night and
Exactly.
everything else. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
That's the part that it's surprising. It's,
Yeah.
it's hard. I don't think that people should be upset. Like, there's a difference between when, like, someone who, like, doesn't give you a reason to not believe them, or like, again, or if like you're like, oh yeah, I do feel that they were controlling over you, or they like, now that I look back on it, I'm like, oh wow, that person was really odd around you. This makes a lot more sense.
Hmm.
When you have
No.
those touchbacks, it's a lot better. But when you throw an allegation out there or a situation out there and there's the math doesn't math,
Yeah.
you can't be upset that people question your story because they're going off of what they've experienced with you.
Hmm.
And like this is not saying, like, I get it that those that have experienced this trauma don't want to come out and say it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that they have to say it physically, but you usually can be like, yeah, they were really quiet about that, or oh yeah, they were really protective about that. But when you think of someone that you're like, none of that makes sense whatsoever, none of it
Right.
does. And based on
Right.
their behavior and the way they've acted and the way they've done this and the way they've done that, I don't know why more people don't say, wait a minute, like, it's not that I don't believe you, but my experience with you has been so different than this. Like, do you believe that your trauma put, like, say what's everyone's thinking? Like, why don't the other women, like the other women on the show, say, Brynn, like,
I don't know why.
I'm not questioning whether or not you were sexually assaulted, but I do have to say this is really hard to hear because if I could have said to anyone like who's the most comfortable with sex and sexualizing, and the one that I would think is the last one to have traumas built up about this just based on what I've watched on TV and seen, it's you.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
don't fault me for having questions because like you're the last person that I would think. Now, Jenna Lyons, who doesn't like to bring her part like relationship on the show, is very closed off. If she
Right.
said something like that, I'd be like, wow, maybe that's why she's so closed off. But Brynn, you've shown us your old fiance. You've talked about now you've said something about how you and Gideon didn't work out. Now, my question for you is one of the reasons why you and Gideon have never been able to move forward and work out? Do you have issues because of your trauma being intimate with him? Because if that's the case, I'd like to hear that is why. That's when I wished you brought up your sexual assault.
Yeah,
Was if
but remember, she was there and decided at that moment to say, well, I told Uber I was
that's
sexually
what I'm saying.
assaulted.
That's what I'm
But
saying.
did she was
That's what
that
I'm saying.
lined
It was
up?
brought up
Was
at a
that
time where it seemed very much like,
contrived?
yeah,
Contrived.
like
That's why I
I'll
have
tell
trouble
people a
with it.
story once of when I was drunk. I was drunk once. And well, I wasn't drunk per se, but I had been drinking. I had been drinking a little bit, maybe a teeny bit too much to operate a vehicle. But I did. And my parents, who know me really well, I then got to their house, so they called me out on it.
Yeah.
And instead of just saying you're right and whatever, which I never would have done at that time because that
Yeah,
was
yeah,
a
yeah.
disaster, I pretended that one of my colleagues had died and that I was emotionally upset about them. Like, because people that want to get out of the reality of what they do, in
Well,
my
that's why
opinion,
I'm not sure that Bryn didn't throw that out as a way to
oh no, I agree with you that it's suspect.
it's
I'm hope,
suspect.
you know
It's
what it is? I'm
suspect.
hopeful she's telling the truth. I'm
No,
hopeful.
because if she's not telling the truth, she is so pathological that it would be disturbing
Oh,
to
yeah.
think that someone is on a show and they have to have psychological testing and stuff, right? Because this isn't for
That's
everybody.
why I'm hoping that like I'm just again like there's gonna be a little bit of like we have to remember
Yeah,
this
but
show's
remember
cast.
Jeffrey Dahmer, like he beat the psychological tests too because they're that smart.
Yeah, no, I get it. I just think that Bryn should have been a little bit more there. It doesn't make sense to me why someone on those couches didn't say, Bryn, we have to just ask you something. Like we're like this is what I think this is where the confusion lies.
Hmm.
We've all, opened up about things. You opened up about this, you opened up about that, you opened up about your childhood last season. It's hard
Was
for
any of
people.
it true?
No, no, that's no. See, that I think is probing, and that's like not what we should be saying. What I'm saying more is, so you have to understand that like now, 2 seasons in, if you pair the fact that you have shared really personal things with the audience and with us, and you are a fun, playful, overly sexual woman,
Nymph. Yeah.
nympho, whatever you want to call her. Like again, like you could say it very politically correct and still say it what it is. You love to talk about sex this, sex that, lesbian this. And Jenna could have maybe said it because it would have made sense. Jenna would be like, Brynn, all you talk about is how you want to have my babies. Like all you talk about is this.
Yeah.
So you can't be upset with us for being really taken aback. And especially for Uba, who has no recollection of you ever saying this to her. And you yourself even said maybe she didn't clock it. But then all she can think about is the fact that like she felt that it was okay for her to say you've slept with someone to get on this show. Clearly that has been brought up in some capacity, whether it was by a producer, talked about with the other girls, Brynn talked about it, like
Right.
who
Right.
knows. But what she's saying is like, Brynn, you have literally walked around this show for 2 straight years, overly sexualizing yourself to the world.
Yeah.
Don't you dare come at me because you pushed me too far. And now I'm going to go off of the energy and like the expectation you've already set, which was you're okay with talking about sex when it comes to you because you do it all the time.
Right.
And then because you don't like what I say,
Mm-hmm.
you've now decided that you're going to throw something and hold it over me.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's one of those where it's like, Brynn, it's not that people don't believe you. Two things can be
Is that
true.
I don't believe her. Yeah.
Two things can be true. You could have been sexually assaulted, but maybe until, and again, I might get hate on this online by all you listeners, but I don't think it's appropriate to be okay. Like, there's a difference between being closed off and not wanting to talk about personal, intimate things and not be. I believe that's you going through your trauma, and I believe you have every right to go through that time. But the minute that you want to start to basically pretend as if you're the biggest whore in Macy's window and you love it, but then when it's convenient for you, you're going to say, oh my God, I'm so traumatized around my sexual assault, and that's why I can't be comfortable with a man. What do you mean? You've been comfortable rolling around in the sand,
Mm-hmm.
basically being a tickle me Elmo for the whole world to
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah,
So it's like
without a doubt.
it's hard. It's hard to understand
It
for
is hard to
anybody.
understand because one doesn't make sense.
Jessel, oh, I give Jessel a lot of credit for sticking up to Brynn.
Yes. Now, I want to complain though. It was wrong they went after Jessel that she's had veneers and Botox and fillers because they all do it on every
Yes,
single
but Andy's
series.
been doing, but the thing is, Andy asked those questions every single reunion since season one when the women from the OC hadn't really done a lot of work. And then they all came back season two with the work. And then every season from that moment forward decided to do it.
Right, but they're all
By the way,
having
hot
work done.
news.
What?
Gretchen
I
Rossi's
know
coming back
Gretchen
to
Rossi is back
OC.
at the OC and she's
Watch
team
out, Tammy
Shannon.
Sue.
I know she's
Yeah,
team
but I
Shannon
hate to break
Bedore.
this to the world.
Uh,
I, s- I don't, I don't think Gretchen Rossi is gonna really harm Tamara Barney.
No, I don't think so either,
You
but
know who's
she's
gonna harm Tamara Judge?
oh.
The combination of Ryan Bajulian and Slade Smiley teaming up
Oh
together
yeah.
because they're both little
Oh.
bitches.
Oh yeah, they are. Oh, that will be good.
Yeah.
That will
And
be
Jen and
good.
Gretchen are friends. They're all friends.
Yes, I know they are.
Yeah.
I know. That will be that will be so good. Now, Jessel talking about that she said, everything with the love of her life was some boy, blah 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 blah. And just she exposed herself so much, Brynn, at that moment
Oh, yeah.
because she couldn't just own it. And it was finally Jenna Lyons saying, the spin is so dark. And it was that moment where Brynn like got a slap across the face because for whatever reason, she was throwing Aaron under the bus. She was throwing them all under the bus. She didn't care about any of them. She's never going to throw Jenna Lyons under the bus.
But also, Jenna Lyons has never been that straight up with anyone on this cast.
Agreed. But she's never going to go against Jenna Lyons, like a
What is?
lion.
Oh, I thought you meant
You
like
know
she
what I mean? Like a lion, because she is the king of the jungle, so to speak, in that
Oh, Jenna
franchise.
Lyons should have been like, you know what, Bryn? The lie in my name, you're the liar. I'm a lion. Watch out, bitch.
Oh, well, she didn't. The way she did it is just the spin is so dark.
I hope that Jenna Lyons from like, that was a different Jenna Lyons than
That
we've
was,
seen.
and we haven't seen that.
And I
And
hope you come back next season as that Jenna Lyons because
yeah,
I've questioned like how an editor, like not an editor, but like like I don't know why I always
could
think she's
not.
a fashion
I
editor, but
mean,
she's not. The head of a fashion house, like someone that led a big company and
could,
that like and
mhm.
truly like you know, again, J. Crew wasn't dressed like whatever way. Now it might be the style, I don't know. But like big time designers have dressed first ladies for years.
Yeah, of course.
What for whatever reason, was she got lucky? Maybe it was Michelle Obama's style. Who knows?
Hmm.
Jenna Lyons got J. Crew
Yeah.
on a first lady. It's a big
Yeah.
deal. Whatever
No,
way
it
you
is a
want to
big
spin it.
deal. Totally. I agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like
That's a
I
big
mean,
deal. Yes.
so and anyone that can get their the clothing they represent on anyone at a presidential level, it's a big deal. There's one
It is a
president, one
big
first
deal.
lady,
Yeah.
and you can get your clothes on them. Good for you.
Absolutely. Totally.
Yeah.
So I get Jenna Lyons, and that is probably why she is the only one that she will back down for.
I'm
She
really
wouldn't.
excited to hear about. I'm really looking forward to seeing what happened with Erin and Rebecca Minkoff.
Oh, I can't wait to see this. I'm telling you. But she's very, very, I mean, the girl, I said it last week. I'm going to repeat it because I think it's a great line. And that is that Brynn needs to be off this show
She's off.
um,
She already quit.
to heal because she's just bleeding all over everybody. And she has to heal because she's bleeding all over everyone. We
Yeah.
don't have a mess. It's a reunion. I already saw the
Oh no,
preview.
Bryn's a mess.
I already saw the preview for the first 5 minutes of
Bryn's a mess. And I just wish
Brynn.
they brought Abe to the reunion so we could talk about his dick. We could talk about all these things that they experienced.
It
So
was a little dark of a reunion, but they did bring it fashion wise. They were phenomenal, every one of them.
I have a feeling that this is a three-part reunion, and I'm shocked.
I thought it was the it's two parts.
They didn't say next week the reunion concludes. Andy goes next week on part two.
Oh, okay. I thought
So
it was
it
two
could still
parts.
be, but I'm
Hey,
just
it could. Well,
nervous.
anyway, we'll be back one
I
more
can
week
watch
with
reunions. It
this.
doesn't matter if the cast is boring. Reunions I can get through because like there's just
They're
something about
interesting.
them,
I
but
know.
that's it. So
All
anyway,
right. Let's
love
go.
you guys. Follow us.
Bye.